Trivia and quiz show video games are less for the serious gamer and more for a bit of fun, possibly with the family or just to test your own general knowledge. Today we're going to be looking at the second edition of a classic UK game show. Yes, of course, this is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. This is the second edition of the game and it was released in 2001, so of course all the questions will be relevant to that time. Now the version you're seeing here is the PlayStation 2 version. There was a version of this game that I remember playing back in the day on the PlayStation 1, and there is differences between the two versions. The PlayStation 1 version, you'll see the studio, you'll see two chairs, but you won't see Chris Tarrant, the former host of the UK version of the show. But he does provide voiceover, reading out the questions and guiding you through the game. Of course, the PlayStation 2 had more power and more capabilities, and with this version you do see the host in vision, and there's also a few more camera angles, and an animation when you win the million. You'll also see and hear the official UK Millionaire theme during the titles, and the jingles and sound effects used in the actual show throughout your playthrough, adding to that little bit of authenticity. Now look, the controls are pretty simple. You literally use the D-pad to select your answer and then press the X button on PlayStation to confirm this answer. And that's literally it. Of course, if you're struggling with a question, you can use one of the three lifelines. They are the three classic lifelines of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire: 50-50, Phone a Friend and Ask the Audience. Phone a Friend, incidentally, will be a random phone call with a generic person who'll help you through the question. But like in real life, the answer they give might not be the correct answer to the question. Who you get when you use this lifeline is completely random. And unlike other versions of Millionaire games that I've seen, you can't pick who your phone a friend is from a generic selection. Occasionally, this virtual friend will give a short anecdote related to one of the questions. In terms of the actual question bank, yes, it is the same whether you're playing on the PlayStation 1 or on the PlayStation 2. And once you've played it a fair few times, you will see the same questions time and time again. But one thing I have noticed, once you get past some of the higher amounts, a check gets shown on screen with the monetary value that you've won. In the PlayStation 1 version, you'll see this check with your character's name, the value you've won and the host's signature. Now these elements are still present on the PlayStation 2, but in that particular version, the check is more full screen instead of a smaller overlay, and it also has a date on it. This date reflects the date on the system that you're playing on. Overall then, what are my thoughts? It's basic, it's a quiz game, it's always going to be basic, but does it still hold up today? You know what, I actually think it does, to a point. The model of Chris Tarrant, you can tell who it's meant to look like, and for what I would say is a reasonably early PS2 game, the character model isn't that bad. Would it be much better if this was revamped and re-released on a modern day system? Absolutely. But for its time, the character model looks absolutely fine. And of course, it's a quiz game. Quizzes are always popular. Even these older ones are useful if you want to test your knowledge. Back in the day, was this a game that you played? And if it was, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. We're going to be looking at more games from the past across a series of videos. So if you like this sort of thing, stay tuned to the channel for more.